What up, everybody? Welcome to the PorterWay Podcast. I want you to back it up just a little bit, the camera. It's like a really super generic look for us. That's better. Press conference will be starting soon, ladies and gentlemen. We're plugged into their audio, as you can hear. What up, radio? You know, we're going to keep talking until we get this right. Yeah. You got to lean in, bruh.
You know what?
You can see my tricep.
Too many angles. All right, settle down. You gotta relax.
What up, big man? You like my partner in crime this weekend?
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I needed somebody to rock with, and nobody better than Showtime when it's Showtime. You know.
I don't like doing this by myself. So as someone who has done it by yourself, again, like we talked yesterday, not the same premise as my show where this is literally a talk show. You are QA, but what about your podcast, like your show that you do?
So my show's not on my own either. I always have a guest.
Okay.
And it's an interview format, long form. It is maybe the thing that I'm excited most about on a regular basis that I can do and produce on my own with my own vision.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about yesterday, the fight inside the people I'm talking to is a real way for me to go outside the sport of boxing while maintaining the thing that is connecting me to the sport of boxing. Which is that warrior mentality in so many people who don't fight for a living but fight for their lives, you know.
I know your show's up right now. Tell everybody where your show is at.
So Till This Day is on a wide release. It's across every platform, every place you get podcasts, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. It is, free, open for the public. It was behind a paywall on Luminary. The whole season is still on Luminary there. If you want to listen ahead, you can subscribe to Luminary and hear the whole podcast. Nice. They come out every Friday. I think we're 4 episodes in, so you got some catching up to do if you haven't caught it up yet. It's maybe the thing I'm most proud of at the moment, and I'm looking forward to a second season. I'm looking forward to Shawn Porter sitting in the hot seat for that one.
Yeah.
I really enjoy us in our conversation yesterday. I think we'll have more of those ongoing in the future. Yeah. I love being able to bounce really my perspective off somebody who has a unique, really rarefied air angle on this sport and this life. So this really to be able to co-chair with you for however long as I'm welcome in this seat is a fun time, man.
Nah, man, know you always welcome in this seat, man. We go quite a ways back. And I don't see you on YouTube. Are you on YouTube?
Yes, on YouTube. Seconds Out. That's the YouTube channel you can find me on. If you just Google Radio Raheem Boxing. The Till This Day is not on YouTube. Because it's an audio show, right?
Gotcha.
There's no video component to it. Gotcha. Now, we may create some video component to it and put it on YouTube shortly, but right now, you can find it. Really, I enjoy it as an audio show. It was meant to be that way. It's much more intimate, but the production is built out. Like, when you do listen to it, you'll hear what I've done with the sound. It's not just a chat show. It's a production.
I find a way to disagree with you on a lot of things, which is rare. I don't like to disagree with people often, but I feel like YouTube, being able to see something while listening to it, watch it obviously, is more intimate than just being able to listen to it.
I would say it can be more engaging but not more intimate. Those two things are not mutually exclusive, but they are different, right? When I say intimate, I mean between myself and the guest. And so if I can release you from the screen and you're driving or laying down listening and your imagination is more engaged. If you're listening, the thing about my show is you have to listen. You can't just put it on in the background.
And you have to have imagination.
You have to have it, which I help you with the production. It allows me some freedom to build images and my guests to tell stories that you then, more like reading, you have to, conjure in your own mind what that sounds and looks like. If you're, in my opinion, distracted just by looking at the image and the facial expressions of the person who's talking, you're not really doing the creative work of taking yourself back to the place that they're telling you about.
Makes sense.
In that sense, I think we're both right. There is, I think, when people see an image, it's easier to engage. Yeah. So Yes, but the work we put into my show, it's worth fully taking the time to listen closely, because that's what the conversation is based on.
Yeah.
What's being expressed verbally.
Let's get to this fight real quick. Obviously, Canelo Alvarez, Jermell Charlo in the main event. We're here at the press conference right now. We were talking yesterday about the buzz, for the sake of words, of this fight. The energy surrounding this fight isn't what you would expect or want, number one, from a Canelo fight.
Right.
But number two, from a fight of this magnitude, two undisputed champions in respective weight classes. Was there any way were you not gonna be here, or you know what I mean? Like,
oh no, listen, when it's a big fight, Radio Raheem is on the scene.
Yeah.
And sometimes the fans take a little time to catch up to what the biggest fights are. So hopefully my presence will be an indicator that this is a fight that you need to be tuned into, because it's still two undisputed fighters climbing in the ring to face each other. And where the engagement of the audience might fall off is because we haven't seen Jermell Charlo in the ring in 16 months. He is known at 2 weight divisions lower than Canelo. There's some narrative that Canelo might be slipping. I don't necessarily agree with that, but every time a fighter steps through the ropes, he has to prove that he's not slipping. The old adage is a fighter can get old overnight. So we never know till we know, which is why we turn up. Well, when you have two guys that are as accomplished as Canelo and Jermell Charlo, and they face each other, you gotta tune in, because both of these men are known for excellence. Both of these men are undefeated. And the weight division difference might not be quite as vast as you would think, because you're used to seeing Jermell at 154. But it's been 16 months, and in 16 months, I don't think he's been on weight.
No.
So, if that is the case, and he's now comfortably fighting above his weight division, well, then that makes for a different dynamic, doesn't it?
Sure.
In fact, we might see a more comfortable, more heavy-handed, better Jermell Charlo than we might see if he was trying to kill himself to get down to 54 after 16 months outside the ring. So where some people see that as a detriment, it might be a plus.
Yeah.
And that might be something that surprises us early in the fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's actually kind of like more of a catch-22, because while he may be, I guess for the sake of words, healthier because he hasn't sucked himself down, he's never truly performed at fight night at this weight. So imagine nobody goes into the ring the weight that they weighed in at. So he weighs in at 154. Let's say he gains 15 pounds after that. He's 169 after that. Well, guess what? Now you done brought yourself down to 168, and you gain 10 to 15 from 168, puts you in that 180 range. You've never fought at 180. You've probably trained yourself at 180, but you've never fought in that excellence that you talk about. Excellence was at 165, 168-ish, maybe. Not at 180, 175, 180-ish. You know what I mean?
I'm hoping that he comes in about 168 on the night. Like no heavier than 75. I think more than that's a mistake. When I say comfortably, I mean then you're not draining down, so you're not rehydrating another 10, 15 pounds.
Very true.
I think he's going to be an honest 68.
Very true.
And so what I'm most concerned about is the ring rust, which I don't know any fighter that doesn't have some level of ring rust after 16 months outside of the ring. The best of the best even take, a couple, if not a few rounds to really find their rhythm. And sometimes that doesn't even happen in the first fight back. So Canelo's not one to, where you want to get caught slipping or trying to find your footing by the 5th and 6th round. You're going to be in a whole world of trouble.
I mean, I do want to just softly and respectfully correct you. You said both men are undefeated. We know, obviously, that Canelo Alvarez is not undefeated. And while he took his second loss against Bivol, what was that? Was that 2 years ago now?
Right. Well, you're absolutely right. Both men are not undefeated. What I meant to say and should have said more clearly is they're both undefeated in their weight class. They're both undisputed and undefeated at the weight that, they're undisputed. So, absolutely. What's the problem? No, you're correct. I made a mistake.
Jermell Charlo has a loss to Tony Harrison at 154.
Oh, no, Jermell Charlo has a loss of 54.
To Tony Harrison at 154.
Oh, but you know what? Does he?
But where I was going with that is, wow, I mean, it's clear. And if you aren't willing to acknowledge it, then you either just don't have boxing eyes or you're ignoring it. And it's okay. Canelo used to be an A+ fighter. He's now an A- fighter, B+ at the least. But he's an A- fighter now. That decline, and especially in terms of like a grade, you go from being a 100% student to a 91% student. You're still in the A category. You still have A potential.
What do you attribute that decline to? How did he lose his plus in place of a minus?
Well, when I went and looked at his record the other day, I went and looked at his box rec the other day, and to me it was like, well, that's why you're A-. That's why you're A- fighter, and maybe on some nights, John Ryder, you're a B+ fighter, or maybe even a sub B in that fight as well. But it's because he turned pro in 2005. He's 33 years old with over 60 fights. That wear and tear, you cannot ignore it. And it's only so long before, i.e. Pacquiao, i.e. everybody, i.e. Bernard Hopkins, it catches up to you eventually. And even though he's only 33, there's still a lot of mileage. And you know better than a lot of people that are watching this right now. It's one thing to have 60 fights, that's mileage. How many punches and camps did you have to do, and how much did you go through for 60 fights? 60+ fights. I think it's 63 fights. So that alone makes him an A- fighter.
Just natural deterioration based on the amount of mileage necessary to get to this stage in a career is going to diminish returns at some stage. And you think that decline has begun. So let me ask you this. I'm not disagreeing. I'm learning.
I got to say this. My thing is, it's okay. And people need to understand that it's okay for this 33-year-old man who's been fighting professionally for almost 20 years. It's okay for him to decline a little and still be where he is in this sport. I mean, he's been at the top for 15.
Is there anything that can turn that around? I know we can't change the clock and rewind time.
Yeah.
So if it's time that's at the essence of his decline, then will we ever see an A+ Canelo again?
Well, it's like you just said, what can we do to turn this around? We can't turn it around, so what can we do to slow it down? Or what can we do to increase other things to make sure that wherever we lost in speed or wherever we lost in punch output, well, let's multiply in some other areas. So what I like is the fact that they got out of Mexico. They went all the way to Lake Tahoe for camp. That brings this mentality of grit, that brings this mentality of fighting through adversity and fighting and being uncomfortable and having to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That in the ring is what a fighter needs more than a lot of things. You don't need muscles more than you need the comfortability with blood dripping in your eye. You don't need speed more than you need comfortability with I'm starting to feel fatigue. You know what I mean? So I think some of the things that we see him acknowledge and give into in recent time, that being fatigue. We've seen you in 9 rounds. All of a sudden, you just can't. 9, 10, 11, and 12. What are you doing? You were good in 5, 6, 7, and 8. Why did you just slow down? And it happens in the blink of an eye. You know what I mean? So where we would see him give into that fatigue and things like that, we take him out of his comfort, put him in these situations where now I know that I'm fighting. I'm being reminded, for the sake of words, of what I'm fighting for, and now that will replace those mentalities of here comes the fatigue, here comes the so what, I fought through it in camp, here I am now. You know,
because of the layoffs that Charlo has had, has he been preserved better than Canelo Alvarez over essentially the same amount of years?
You seen like Bruce Lee, for instance. We'll take Bruce Lee. Remember, you seen those movies where he would be hitting, or you seen the karate movies where they would be hitting the things.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is they're building
Wing Chun.
up. Yeah, they're building up the resistance. They're building it up. And when you've been out of the ring for 16 months, sparring does not simulate the resistance of being hit with an 8-ounce glove on fight night with fans around the stadium seeing you get punched in the mouth. You know what I mean? So I think that where you would think health-wise, he has to be healthier and preserved, but at the same time, too much preservation, what does that do to you?
You as a fighter, if you had to choose, what would you rather? Be Canelo, not actual Canelo, but have the wear and tear of Canelo over the time that he's had coming into a fight in that circumstance, or have the time off, the lesser amount of wear and tear, but also the potential ring rust in 16 months out of the ring without the actual in-the-ring combat that Charlo enters the ring with.
This is two answers for this. Number one, you never saw me take a layoff. You never saw me injured. You never see me not training. When there was like a year when I went without fighting, I still was training every single day. What I felt I could not afford to do was take time off. So I would prefer the wear and tear opposed to having time off. But at the same time, I know who I am as a fighter and who I am as a person. No matter when that bell rang, it could have been I've been out of the ring for 2 years. Mentally, I'm locked in and ready. So that's the other side of this 16 months is where are you mentally and emotionally for this fight? Are you going to be able to answer that bell when it rings, or has that sitting sitting out? I'm not going to say sitting on, but has that sitting out set in?
With all that you've said about where Canelo is on the decline,
I said a lot. Be
and
specific.
with Charlo coming in as an undisputed fighter at 154 pounds, coming up 2 weight divisions to fight in your estimation, declining, although not gravely, yet declining Canelo.
Yeah.
If he were to be successful, would it be fair to then to say, well, he beat a fading Canelo, which is the first thing that we'll hear, or should he get full credit for that win and potentially now be in contention for pound number one?
You got it. He has to get full credit because it's again clear that Canelo's declining. He didn't decline from an A to a C. He didn't decline from an A to a D. He's still an A fighter. You know what I mean? He's just not that superb, amazing, explosive A fighter that he was 4+ years ago, 3+ years ago. You know what I mean? So you give him full credit because he's coming up 2 weight classes. You give him full credit because he's been out of the ring for 16 months. This is an evenly matched fight.
Before these fighters take the stage, the same question, but in the converse, is Canelo going to receive the full credit for beating a Charlo who's been out of the ring for 16 months and is 2 weight divisions below him, even though it's said that he's a declining fighter and fighting a guy who has those disadvantages, as we assume that they are disadvantages, should he get full credit for beating an undisputed Charlo?
You give Canelo full credit for fighting a fighter that he truly doesn't need to fight, have to fight. You give Canelo full credit for fighting someone who is, even though they're roughly around the same age, someone who hasn't even done half of what he's done, the bulk of work that Canelo has done. So, I mean, for a number of reasons, you do give Canelo Alvarez full credit.
We know that Canelo initially challenged Jermall Charlo, the heavier of the 2 fighters. That's the fight we expected to be sitting here for. Is this a lesser fight than that?
No, it's not a lesser fight because, again, he's been out of the ring, I think, for almost 2 years, or something crazy like that. And Jamal and Jamel are just like they're twins. They're practically the same fighter in the ring.
All right, do we let the fighters take over now? Or?
I'm going to raise this up. And that's not bad. We did all right.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing his opponent. He may not need an introduction the world over, but we're going to give him 2 introductions, well-deserved here this afternoon. Really needing no introduction, here he is in his 24th world title appearance, the 4-division world champion, the reigning, the defending, the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, El Orgulloso Guerrero de Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, Saúl Canelo Alvarez.
I don't see that 14-pound weight differential that everybody's talking about right now.
No, you won't see it because they are, the makeup is just different. Canelo, obviously we see he's a shorter fighter, but he is filled out and a man at 168 pounds. Not discrediting Jamel, not saying he's not a man.
There, ladies and gentlemen, Saúl Canelo Alvarez versus Jamel.
I'm sure that Jamel Charlo is more of a man at 160. And what I mean by that is when I get into condition that has me everything firing on all cylinders, Jamel Charlo is probably a 160-pound fighter, not a 168-pound fighter.
At this stage of the fight week, this first kind of final press conference face-off, are you able to deduce anything staring across at your opponent? Like in that moment, think either one of these fighters is doing anything other than just going through the motions for the promotion?
I've seen a lot from some of the guys that I've been in the ring with in the past. You can, depending on who that person is, you can find out what's going on in their mind. We'll let BC do what he does.
Hall of Famer. Certainly, good afternoon, everybody. To the assembled press, to the hundreds of thousands watching all across the world, welcome to Las Vegas. This is the final press conference for Canelo versus Charlo. I am Brian Custer, the host of Showtime Championship Boxing, and listen, the time is now. Time has come for Showtime Boxing, Showtime pay-per-view to deliver what it has consistently done over this past year and for the past few decades, and that is deliver action-packed, big fight after big fight. And on Saturday, we are bringing you what constitutes as a mega fight, an intriguing one, because it's also an historical fight. One that I might add, for the first time in this 4-belt era, we've got 2 undisputed champions, different weight divisions, facing off, and it's a matchup of 2 of the sport's pound-for-pound best, 2 of the sport's most explosive and exciting fighters. Canelo Alvarez, boxing's first undisputed super middleweight champion, putting all 4 belts on the line against Jermell Charlo, the undisputed junior middleweight champion who will be making that 2-weight division jump to super middleweight, trying to take the belts off of one of boxing's most storied champions. Canelo will be seeking his record-setting 3rd successful defense of that WBC, WBA, IBF, and WBO world titles. Do you know in this 4-belt era, no undisputed champion has done that? While Charlo, attempting to become just the 3rd fighter in the 4-belt era to become undisputed in multiple weight divisions, joining the likes of Claressa Shields and, of course, Terrence Bud Crawford. And keep in mind, Charlo also has the opportunity to become the first fighter to jump multiple divisions en route to his 2nd undisputed championship. The particulars, when it comes to tickets, they're limited. They are available, though, at AXS.com for this Canelo Promotions presentation of a Premier Boxing Champions pay-per-view event. This entire event is being promoted by Canelo Promotions and TGB Promotions as well. Showtime pay-per-view broadcast, it's going to begin at a special early time at 8 o'clock Eastern. That is 5 o'clock Pacific time here in Las Vegas. You can purchase the fight as well through a live stream at showtime.com/PPV and the Showtime app as well. The fight goes down this Saturday, September 30th, here in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, T-Mobile Arena, and it is produced by the destination for the best in boxing, and that is Showtime pay-per-view. Let me bring to the podium here one of the co-promoters of this fight. He's the president of TGB Promotions, Tom Brown.
Thank you, Brian. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Undisputed versus undisputed. I love saying that all week, and I love the sound of that. Saturday night at the T-Mobile, we have a historic matchup between reigning and undisputed champions in two different weight divisions, fighting for the first time ever in the four-belt era. You know, and I always like the Fight Week press conference so much more than the opening press conferences. With only a few days to go, everyone's a bit edgy. The fighters have just come out of camp. They're focused. They're laser sharp. I mean, just look at these two guys. They're ready for Saturday night. It's fight time. Canelo Alvarez is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world today. He's a superstar in our sport, and he's the face of boxing. Charlo, as Brian said, the first ever undisputed 154-pound world champion in the four-belt era, now looking to become undisputed in two weight divisions. And what a pay-per-view card we have. We'll get into the pay-per-view undercard press conference tomorrow, but just as a fan, I cannot wait for Saturday night. Get your tickets early, purchase the pay-per-view, sit back and enjoy the night, because this really is a special fight. Undisputed versus undisputed. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Let me bring to the mic a guy who has led this network, talking about Showtime Boxing, to one of the greatest years this network has seen. He's certainly a guy who believes in the mantra, delivering mega fight after mega fight. He's going to give you all the details, the particulars, the programming surrounding the televised pay-per-view portion of the evening. He's the president of Showtime Sports, Steven Espinoza.
Thank you, Brian. Welcome to Vegas, everyone. You know, it feels like deja vu all over again. We're back here at the MGM Grand, another big fight at T-Mobile, another historic matchup between the biggest fighters in the sport, the biggest stars in combat sports. And of course, it's on Showtime pay-per-view, and of course it feels like deja vu, because as Brian pointed out, that's what we've been doing all year, that's what we've been doing for years. This is the 20th Showtime boxing event of 2023. Without question, the strongest schedule in the sport. In fact, over the last 6 years, 2017 to 2023, Showtime has done 156 live boxing events. That's an average of 26 a year. In other words, every 2 weeks on average, Showtime's giving boxing fans high-quality boxing year in, year out. That's what we do, leading the industry in quality fights. But this Saturday in particular, we have a special one, a historic matchup featuring the biggest star in the sport in an exciting fight. The type of fight that breaks through to the mainstream, attracts non-boxing fans the world over. Intriguing matchup of personalities, two fighters with great skills, great chins. In 63 fights, 472 rounds, Canelo Alvarez has never been knocked down. In 37 fights, 256 rounds, Jermell has been knocked down once, a flash knockdown early in his career. These are two elite fighters. This will be Canelo's 7th appearance on Showtime. We did his first pay-per-view event 10 years ago. He's been a pro 18 years, fought 13 undefeated fighters. He's defeated 18 world champions. We can go on and take up the rest of the hour in this press conference with his resume, but you know it as well as all of the boxing fans. Jermell Charlo will be making his 16th appearance on Showtime. He's undefeated on the network, 14-0-1. And in his last 11 fights, he's had 15 knockdowns. And during those 11 fights, he's become the undisputed champion of the world. So his caliber of competition has been steadily rising, and yet his power remains. It will be an all-action fight, and as Tom said, it will be supported by one of the strongest pay-per-view undercards in years. 50-50 meaningful fights, exactly what the fans have asked for. But let's not get it messed up here. This isn't just a fight. This isn't just a boxing match. This is special. This is different. This is the best the sport has to offer. This is as good as it gets. Calling Canelo versus Charlo a fight is like calling filet mignon meat. It's like calling LeBron James a basketball player or calling The Godfather just a movie. This is special. This is different. When you drive down the street, you see a lot of cars. And there are cars, and then there are Bugattis, there are Lamborghinis, there are Koenigsbergs. Not all of them are the same. Not all boxing is the same. Not all combat sports is the same. No, what we're doing here on Saturday night, what's been going on all year, is special. It's different. It's not the same old boxing. It's not like the others. And no disrespect to anyone, but there are levels to this. And what we're doing here is the highest level of the sport. This is a historic matchup. Truly elite, undisputed champion against another elite, undisputed champion. This is special. It's different. The event on Saturday night will generate a gate of over $20 million. That's a rare feat in combat sports. It's rare in concerts or events of any kind. But this will be the third time in the last 6 months that we've done a gate of $20 million. Again, our third $20 million gate in the last 6 months. To put that in perspective, UFC has never done a gate of $20 million in its entire history. We've done it 3 times since April. Like I said, this is special. This is different. There's nothing else going on in combat sports that matches this type of event. We have to enjoy this event. We need to savor it. This is the best our sports has to offer. If you haven't already, I encourage you to check out episodes 1 and 2 of All Access. We got some great access with both fighters. We thank them in their camps. You truly see a different perspective on each of them. And of course, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll see you Saturday night.
Thank you, Stephen. It's time to hear from the fight camps, hear from the fighters. Let me acknowledge here to my left, at the end of the table there, he's Jermell Charlo's co-trainer, the former 2-weight division world champion, Mr. Juan Guzman. Coming to the podium now, 2022 boxing writer, Ring Magazine Trainer of the Year, Derrick James.
Hello, everyone. I just want to say that it's a very special event because, as they said, undisputed versus undisputed. It's going to take a great Canelo Alvarez to bring out an even better Jermell Charlo. I'm looking forward to Jermell being great and becoming the super middleweight undisputed champ of the world, and he'll be the first guy, as Brian said, to be undisputed champ of the world at the same time in 2 divisions. So everybody, come out, get your tickets. It's going to be a great night of boxing. Thank you.
One of the unique things about this fight, you got 2 of the best fighters in the world. You also have 2 of the greatest trainers in the world as well. Because coming to the podium now, he's not only the head trainer, but also the manager of Canelo Alvarez, 2-time Trainer of the Year, In fact, the latest was in 2021, Mr. Eddie Reynoso. Martin Bader will do the translation.
Buenas tardes. Pues ya contentos de estar aquí otra vez en Las Vegas. Una pelea muy importante para nosotros.
We're happy to be here in Las Vegas once again. This is a very important fight for us.
Tenemos enfrente un gran peleador, un peleador que ha ganado los 4 cinturones también, un peleador que tiene un gran equipo y que tiene muchísimas cualidades boxísticas.
We're facing a great opponent, someone that's undisputed as well with all 4 belts. He possesses a great team behind him and his boxing skills are also very, very good.
Hicimos un gran campamento, un gran trabajo durante más de 3 meses en total. Estuvimos 2 meses en la altura. Hicimos un gran trabajo, no hubo ninguna complicación de nada, hicimos lo mejor que se pudo hacer, teníamos muchísimo tiempo en que no trabajamos de esa manera.
We spent 3 months training for this fight, 2 of them in the altitude, and no setbacks whatsoever, fortunately. And it had been a while since we had trained like this so intensely.
Por alguna razón ajena a nuestra disciplina, lesiones, alguna otra cosita que se nos presentó por ahí, pero para esta vez, créanme que venimos enfocados, venimos al 100%, venimos con todas las capacidades que tiene Canelo.
We have left behind the injuries and all the setbacks that we had before. Now we're 100% and ready to show that Canelo is going to put on a great fight for the fans.
Y el sábado lo vamos a demostrar. Estamos muy motivados y de regresar otra vez aquí a Las Vegas y a una pelea grande y pues esperamos que la disfruten.
We're very
Muchísimas
motivated.
gracias.
We're very motivated to come back here for a great fight in Las Vegas, and we're going to prove to you just how motivated we are by giving the fans a great show, a great fight, and we hope that you enjoy.
Gracias.
Let me bring to the mic one of boxing's pound-for-pound best. You've heard him been described as a unique combination of knockout power, sublime boxing skills. He is the undisputed junior middleweight champion of the world. He's known as the Iron Man. He fights under the Lions Only promotion banner, Jermell Charlo.
What's up? So we finally made it to this moment. I gotta be just more than blessed and thanks and appreciative of everything that has took forward. Training camp was tough. Training camp was really hard, and I had to focus in a lot different. Canelo is a different type of fighter that you just don't, take for granted. He's done everything in the sport of boxing. He has nothing to prove, everything to gain to me. And so with that being said, I have so much on my plate. And in order for me to continue this legacy at its finest, I have to be well equipped with every tool that come in the box. And so with that, I know for a fact that the fans win Saturday night. We put on a hell of a performance, and you'll see us back again for a rematch because I'm leaving no tables turned. This is my moment. I'm gonna enjoy it. I represent the Charlos, man. I'm one of them Charlo twins. I'm one of them Lions Only guys. Yeah, we said a lot of things, and we backed it up. Well, I know I have. So it is what it is. Respect, all of those things that people seeing in the intelligent person and the calm. At this moment of your life, you're supposed to be like that. I hope someone else gets this opportunity, But right now, this is my turn. This is my moment, and I proceed. Thank y'all.
Finally, coming to the podium, boxing's biggest superstar, pound-for-pound great, future Hall of Famer. You've heard it, he's beaten 18 world champions. He is the first undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, Canelo Alvarez.
Thank you, everybody, for coming and support. I appreciate it. I feel great. I feel ready for this fight. And yes, Jermel is right. I have nothing to prove. But especially this time, I have something to prove to him because he never believed in my skills. He always calling me out and never believed in my skills. And now I have the opportunity to show him my skills, and that's motivate myself. I had a really great camp, and I'm ready to show everybody my skills, my real skills. Thank you. See you Saturday night.
Guys, let's talk about this fight. Canelo, I'll start with you because you just mentioned it. I know you mentioned it in All Access. You just said it here. One of the things motivating you in this fight is that Charlo doesn't respect, you said, your boxing skills. If that's the case, what is Jermell Charlo going to find out about your boxing skills on Saturday night?
Yeah, you know, I always train 100%. I always motivate myself, but in this fight, especially more because I have this motivation. He never believed in my skills. He always called me out, and you know, I'm ready to show him in a couple days.
What's the bigger motivation for you in this fight? Is it proving Charlo wrong when he talks about your boxing skills, or maybe proving some of the assembled media who've written Canelo's lost a step? Maybe he's not the best fighter.
You know, you never prove anything to the people. They always have something to say. I just wanna to prove myself and to prove myself. I'm still in the top.
Jermell, your response to Canelo when he talked about you not respecting his boxing skills?
I mean, that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? If he feel that I come to win this fight, so no matter what he say, I come to win this fight. You believe in your skills or not, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people that don't believe in you, but we shall see Saturday. If that's what that's his motive and that's his motivation to prove about some skills, so well be it. I'm coming to win.
You're looking to defy the odds, Mel. You'd be the first time for you fighting over 154 pounds. First time fighting in 16 months. Obviously, you had to rehab that left hand, moving up 2 weight classes. And given all of that, what gives you your biggest confidence that you're going to defy the odds and beat Canelo Alvarez on Saturday?
Because I defined the science of boxing. And I was one of the guys from the younger era, and I've fought at my whole life, you know what I'm saying? And what I've been through in life, I feel like, you know, it did, you know, a lot of people can't compare that, and he's never been through that. So moving up 2 weight divisions, coming off of injuries, doing this and doing that, I feel like I deserve to be in my position. And now this is the time I get to prove my skills and my worthiness.
Canelo, there have been a number of guys who have called you out because they want to fight you. And then they get in the ring and they find out that moment is really big.
Yeah,
and
different.
Now they're in a fight with with Canelo Alvarez. So what is Jermell Charlo going to find out Saturday night?
You know, it's hard to say. It's hard to say what he's gonna find. He's gonna feel it. He's gonna feel it. It's hard to say and explain. It's something different, and he's gonna realize in Saturday night. It's something different. He never used to be with a fighter like me.
Mel, you heard that? Mm-hmm. Saturday night, you're gonna find out there's something different. You've never been in the ring with a fighter of his stature and his skills. Your response?
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm made for. You know, I'm a warrior. You know, I did what I had to do now we at this moment. So I feel like, Canelo never seen a fighter of my caliber. And I know he's seen a lot of fighters. Yeah, he's been in a fight with great fighters. But it's just something that I bring to the table that's a lot different than a lot of other fighters that he's been in the ring with. And so we share the ring on Saturday, and this is going to be one of the most attention-grabbing, sparking moments. And I appreciate everything that's going on right now, and I appreciate Canelo for accepting me, the little brother, the little Charlo. But little Charlo come to fight. Little Charlo come to win.
In the All Access episode, Canelo said his experience, his power will be the difference in this fight. What do you say?
Don't overlook mine. Don't overlook my experience. Don't overlook my power, and don't overlook my skills.
Canelo, your response. He says, don't overlook his power, don't overlook his experience.
I never did, and I never do with any fighter. I know what he's gonna bring, and I'm ready, believe me. I'm being in the ring with all kind of fighters.
Not Jamel Charlo.
Yeah, you don't, brother. You don't know. You don't experience this kind of level of fight. You will see, and you will learn.
You had a great opportunity, and you have fought.
You will see.
You fought some of the best in the world. That's cool.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah.
I understand that. Everybody in the world know you fought the best fighters in the world.
You have a lot of skills, but I don't mind on that. You have a lot of skills. But
you do too. You got some skills.
This is different, and you will see.
All right.
If you would, Jamel, I'll start with you. For all of these people who've assembled here, all the people coming to this fight, watching all over the world, you tell us why they need to tune in to Showtime pay-per-view on Saturday night and why Jamel Charlo is going to win that fight.
Because I'm ready for whatever. I'm a motherfucking lion. I'm a lion.
Canelo Alvarez, you about to get in the ring with a lion. You tell these people why they need to tune in to Showtime pay-per-view and why Canelo Alvarez is going to win this fight Saturday night.
I just tune in because it's gonna be a great fight, and I don't know what animal I need to say to be the lion, but whatever, I'm that animal. Just tune in the fight. September 30 is gonna be good. Believe me.
I got to ask you both for this. You both have the opportunity to make history. What does that mean to you? Start with you, Mel.
It means amazing. It means everything. Make history. That's what it seems like. That's what it's all about. And we'll come back to these moments later in life when we older and come back to this and enjoy it. So right now, it's just living in the moment. Keep turning these chapters, and so will be it.
Canelo, we'll wrap it up with you. You do have the opportunity. Third successful defense. No one has ever done that as an undisputed champion, defended their titles for 3 times. You keep making history. What does that mean to you?
No, it means a lot because that's all I want for my career. I want history. I want to achieve a lot of things in my career. This is one of that.
Folks, it is Saturday, September 30th. Undisputed versus undisputed. You've got Canelo Alvarez, Jamel Charlo. It is Showtime pay-per-view, 8 o'clock Eastern. That is 5 o'clock Pacific time. Don't miss it. Gentlemen, let's have one last face-off before we end this. What's up, man? How you
doing? Yes, we're back. We are back. And I've been reading these comments. Y'all got me over here chuckling, man. It's been funny, but that press conference was about typical. And Canelo, he showed a little character. Y'all know I'm big on that.
Check.
When it's time to talk, let's talk. When it's time to work, let's work. You know what I mean? And Canelo, even though he was respectful and, as always, pretty brief, with English. You know, the fact that he could articulate or comprehend what Charlo said, and then his response was,
Yeah.
Cause I would be feeling
That's that old school shit.
Yeah, that's how I would be feeling. I was like, okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, two of the sports pound for pound best, undisputed versus undisputed.
For all the
The
undisputed.
winner takes home 4 of the belts. Canelo Alvarez.
Take them off. Do you know?
I'm been known to fun to have him on.
Yeah. And he had him on the entire press conference, but he took him off for this face-off.
He wants you to feel him.
You think that's what it
Yeah.
is?
Anytime I faced off with somebody I was about to fight, I took my glasses off.
Be back over here, but the question he asked was these face-offs. Like, what do you read into it? What is there anything? And it's like, I said, yeah, man. It's been. I could see when guys that I was getting in the ring with was anxious, nervous, and all these other things. You know what I mean? It's a part of it, you know. But just kind of what I'm reading into is, you know, if you always got your glasses on and then you took them off, now you're going to be going away from who you are, what you do. And usually when somebody does something different, it's usually because there's a disconnect emotionally or mentally that has them acting different. And we've been saying that, I guess, the entire promotion, and then he addressed it just a little bit ago. He said, everybody talking about me acting cool and like I got sense and things like that. He said, that's how you supposed. You
don't know the deal. You don't talk to him while you're working.
Answer the question. You didn't even hear it.
You talking about people in the moments.
No, I'm talking about replacing you with Radio Raheem.
Oh, okay.
That's what
Shout
I'm
out to
talking
Radio
about.
Raheem.
Yeah, like it's always like you always say, act like you've been here before.
Act like you've been here
before.
Yeah.
So if however many previous times you've been here with the glasses on, but this time you took your glasses off, what I'm saying is you're acknowledging something that you wouldn't normally acknowledge, i.e. the moment. You know what I mean?
But also you got to let them know, even though I've never been here before, I'm ready to fight.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson said I think it was Evander Holyfield, and he said when the fight started, he could see in Evander's eyes like, oh, shit. He coming to
really
fight.
was, yeah.
My bad.
You knew I was coming back.
My bad. We can share a chair. We can share a chair. Oh man. But yeah, Evander. Mike Tyson said he knew Evander was ready to fight. So it's just, I mean, you want people to feel you.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you got the glasses on, that's you're not seeing in my eyes. I want you to see in my soul.
Yeah. Let me point that out too, because remember, I've talked about how Ugas was teared up and really amped up at the weigh-in.
Yeah.
Holyfield was the exact same way when he fought Tyson. When he walked out, tears was coming down his eyes because he was realizing, I'm about to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the same thing with Ugas. He was realizing it's about that. It was his moment. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, when you got tears and all these other things, man, it doesn't mean that you're not ready. It doesn't mean you're nervous and things like that. But I was saying, does Charlo typically take his glasses off, or does he keep them on? Do you know? Because he took them off for the face-off, and I was just a little surprised.
I did notice that, but actually I was glad he took them off because I saw more determination in his eyes than I heard in his voice.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And so
Yes.
I was hoping that there would be some indication that the ferocity of the lion was going to come to play today.
Yeah.
I have to ask this question of a fighter, right? When you say the fans are going to be the winners, in a moment when maybe it's time to make your statement to the fans and to your opponent, not just that you come to win, but that you believe this victory is already yours. Is that an indication of any doubt?
Still just not the best time for him to, for the sake of words, switch up. They've always been lions. You walk up to the cage, they roaring and they screaming, they doing all these things. And then with this promotion, you decided to be quiet. but you got to really help promote this because the other gentleman doesn't really speak good English. And the other gentleman ain't the rah-rah kind of guy.
Right.
You're coming up from 154. You need to give people a reason to want to watch this fight. So like you just said, when this is your time to tell everybody why they should watch, it's not the time for you to be humble. It's not the time for you to switch up from being who you always been.
Yeah. Now, there's another thought that came into my mind was like, PBC fighters in general are known for, getting it going at press conferences, which helps. But, boy, when you start winding Canelo up, it doesn't seem to go well after the press conference when that bell rings.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, maybe he's calculating he can maybe sleepwalk Canelo into this, fight and surprise him.
Yeah.
But to your point, I think ferocity is the word that I was looking for.
I don't know who that is.
It is something that a lion possesses.
Okay.
And to be fierce and ferocious and to claim this victory doesn't mean you have to insult the other opponent.
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean you got to hit below the belt or throw a shot at him during the face-off.
Yep.
But I wasn't convinced. When he took those glasses off, though, I was like, oh, okay, there's something in there, something behind those eyes that say he wants it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that Canelo believes he wants it. Like, I've seen Canelo, as you have, in many a stare down, many a press conference, the dismissiveness with which he approached Charlo this time, I thought was notable.
Yes. And it kind of speaks volumes all the way up until he takes the glasses off, because what Antt just said is he wanted him to feel him. And it's like, I got a little closer than I needed to be to any man because I really wanted them to feel how serious I was about what was about to go down. You know what I mean? And so a lot of times, you're right. Where the glasses are on and you may not be able to vocalize what you're feeling, you take them glasses off, and now not only can the fans see it or not see it, the message being sent right there, like I was telling you before you left here, there's always something else that you can read or feel about your opponent before the fight.
Yeah, I always think glasses is hiding. It doesn't mean you're afraid or something, but you really are trying to put up a wall between you and everybody else that is in the room.
Yeah.
I never understood the sunglasses inside.
The worst is inside the club.
It's hot. You're hiding. You don't want people to see what's there. So
they still do that at the club?
I don't know. Ask Radio. He be in the club.
Radio be there.
He be in the club.
I be in the club?
Yeah. I seen you in the club with glasses on one time.
I'm in the club with these spectacles on. You know what I mean? So I don't get those drunk goggles. I need to see who I'm really talking to.
At Radio, you've been around the game years and a while, man. Do you believe in the this moment's too big for you? Like Floyd used to always say, this is different. This is a different level.
It can be.
And obviously, this is the guy it's a different level when you fight him. Do you feel that?
I believe a moment can be bigger than you're prepared for. The truth of it is, for me in any way, every moment is the same. What you determine that moment means is how it can be too big for what you're prepared for.
This moment is not too big if Canelo doesn't come out and punch Charlo. This first round, he has to punch Charlo, get the crowd going, and then that will kind of be that reminder of, I'm actually here. You know what I mean? That's why Mayweather loved the moment, because he knew, I know what this feels like, and nobody's ever been in this before. And he loved it. And that's why I always looked at Mayweather. I was like, I know I'm ready for the moment, because I loved those moments. You know what I mean?
That's a mind game too, though, right? I think the truth of it is that, like you said, he knew. It's not like he knew because he'd been in those moments before. He knew because he had won in those moments every time. And the questions that come in don't come from the crowd noise. They don't come from you and I or the press. It comes from the inside of your own mind. What people say that you are actually vulnerable to are the things that you were already thinking, but somebody has given voice to.
It's kind of we're going like scientific and all these other things, but on a fight night, the energy that goes around the room, that energy is shared. So when the fighter is in his locker room, he's sharing the energy that's in his locker room. If the fighter can't hear the crowd, if the fighter isn't watching the other fights, the fighter only feels the energy of the room. Once I hear my music and I take my step into that stadium, then you can't turn it off. It's a part of our makeup, our nature. Then we start to feed and eat off of the energies that have gone around that room. So, like, for instance, the co-main is supposed to get the stage ready for the main, i.e. the energy that's put out in the co-main is supposed to fill up the room with the energy for the main event, so that when the main event comes out, everybody's already up here. You're not supposed to have a co-main that's supposed to have everybody on their seats waiting on the main, and then we got to try to find the energy to get up.
That's interesting.
So when Mayweather is saying it's different because he knows that energy, and he loves that energy because he knows that this is a foreign energy to everybody but me, because this is what I do, and this is why everybody here. And so he's smiling at it because he knows, like, whether they booing or they clapping, he knows that eventually they're going to be doing what he wants them to do. Why? Because I control his energy. What did Mayweather do with everybody he got in the ring with? He controlled them. He controlled their energy. He beat them. That's what it is.
When you're fighting and you're walking into that arena, that's a welcomed, shared moment. Like, because I would think, again, I've not had that experience, so this is interesting to me that you're absorbing the energy in the room.
It's the funniest thing to me. I'm sorry to cut you off, but when I walked out for my fight with Keith Thurman, I did not feel or hear the crowd. I'm literally oblivious to. My dad said when you walked out, everybody was booing. I did not hear a boo.
Right.
I just don't. But my dad, and of course, he was like, after the fight, everybody's screaming your name. I remember them screaming my name, but walking out, I don't remember anybody booing. Fast forward to when I fought Terrence, I'm walking out, I'm like, damn, it's a lot of people here rooting for Terrence. I thought it was going to be more people on my side. It didn't affect me in the fight or going to the ring, but I acknowledged it. You share it, bro, whether you like it or not.
Is that an indicator, though, of where your mind is preparation-wise?
Possibly. Possibly. Because I was that Keith Thurman, I was all
zeroed in.
I was all the way amped up, but that was 2016. When I fight Terrence, that's what five years later when I fought Terrence. You know what I mean? So it's like the moment and the experience I had that again and again and again. So it's a little more normal.
I'm gonna test you because I'm thinking. Earl Spence, did you hear the crowd?
Hell yeah.
You know me knowing you was
hell yeah.
But you were still locked in.
I was locked in, and I heard the boos, and I was like, it's all right. I ain't gonna be booing when this one over. Yeah.
I would think that if I had a last dollar to bet on, I'm betting on the fighter that doesn't hear the crowd noise.
Ooh, that's a good one. Because you are locked in. I see where he's coming from. You're not worried about nothing else.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you play sports coming up.
Yeah.
No matter what, when you're on the court, on the field, you don't hear your dad, whatever, yelling at you.
Yeah, you do.
Now, you did? That's why you lost a couple times.
Well, his dad was literally in his corner.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about when you play football. Yeah.
You
Training.
can hear the one voice.
Shawn.
Hell yeah.
Shawn. You did?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I never heard my dad.
I gotta say this. I talked to AB last night, and he FaceTimed me. So I text him, and then he FaceTimed. He FaceTimed me like twice last night, maybe 3 times.
For what?
And this is I'm not.
Yeah. Shout out to AB.
There's no clout here. There's a point. The third time he FaceTimed me, he said, "Bro, every time I call you, I see your dad. I see more of your dad every time I call you."
Okay.
I said, "Man, come on, man." He said, "You tired of him too?" I said, "Yeah, I'm tired of him too." You get tired of it, Shawn. You get tired of that. You get tired of that. But no, he said he bets on the guy who doesn't hear the crowd.
Hey, it's funny you said. I'm gonna ask you a personal question. You know, we both had.
I smell coffee.
That's some nasty, but it's coffee right there.
Yeah, but it didn't have. Yeah, after
it's
this,
not hitting.
It didn't happen. Go ahead and then go get it.
Hey man,
after
you know, tough dads. I didn't played. My dad, we didn't do sports together, but still having a tough black dad. Hey, man, sometimes I'm sitting in my house, I hear, AJ. I'm like, what the fuck? Hey, my dad is dead.
Impossible,
I'm in my own house, not like yelling, but
impossible.
Like, did somebody just say AJ? Because that was my dad's fourth one.
Who
How
is
you doing,
that?
man?
How are you?
Legend. Legend.
I recognize
Legend.
the voice. Let me stand up.
I was supposed to call a fight.
Come on now, you know that. I know. I know.
I don't know what happened to it, but there you have it. It was one of those things that didn't happen. Maybe someday.
Legendary voice right there, man. It's nice to meet you, man.
Appreciate it.
One more time. I'm sorry, but
Man,
one more time. I gotta say this. This is a true story. I'm not going to mention the platform, but we were supposed to do some work together.
Right.
I wasn't going to do it. I was turning it down, and then your name came up. And I was told that I was going to be able to work with Jim Lampley. I said, call him back and call him back and tell him that we're good. I moved some things around. Call him back and move some. I'm at the airport, sir, and I find out that you're not going to be there. And I could not get on. I'm boarding.
Well, at first we were going to call Teofimo Lopez versus George Gamboa.
Yeah.
And then Teofimo caught COVID, and that fight went down.
Yeah.
And then they call me, and they probably thought, all right, we've already made a deal with the guy. He'll go do this.
Yeah.
They call me, and they want me to go do Evander versus Peter Belfort.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got to be honest. I've never paid a moment's of attention to MMA.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in MMA.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about MMA.
Yeah.
So for me to go down and pretend that I have enough knowledge base and expertise
I did
to
it.
call an MMA fighter against a boxer, I can't do it.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it for one simple reason.
Yeah,
You're
I've
fighting.
been in there. Yeah.
And in both disciplines, you're still trying to get to the same finishing
Sure,
point.
sure. Yeah.
And so the psychology of that and the inner workings of it in the way that nobody in my position ever can.
Yeah.
You were qualified.
Yeah.
I was not.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
Yeah. All right.
I'll
accept that.
I'm still walking around here just talking about what people ask me to talk about.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, I'm happy to see you here. What brought this one to you? What brought this
So,
one?
PPV.com, a
Yeah.
new form of expression.
I see that,
A new
yeah.
way of communicating with fight fans.
Yeah.
And in reality, all during the last year or so of HBO's boxing coverage, it was in the back of my mind that, what really would make sense here eventually is that I get up and walk around Roy and go sit in Max's chair, and Max gets up and walks around Roy and comes over here and let Max be the blow-by-blow guy.
Yeah.
He was so
Yeah.
much younger than me.
Yeah.
He had so much longer a future at that moment.
Sure.
I always thought, okay, this will be great for me. I'll go around and do the things that Larry used to do.
You were at home.
Be the aging senior presence.
Yeah.
Max can handle the blow-by-blow. Roy's Roy. And, he was going to stay right where he was. So that was a thought that was in my mind. And then abruptly, of course, HBO disappears from boxing as the result of the decision of a bunch of cell phone salesmen from Dallas. I could go on and on about that. But at the end of the day, we're out. And now I have been away for a while, and along comes PPV.com with this offer for me to communicate digitally with Lance Pugmire, writing comments about the fight, taking questions from viewers and consumers and commenting to them about the fight, and the kind of editorial material you're talking about that is similar to, I think, to what Larry did, what Al Bernstein does. It's a kind of an overview by somebody who's wise enough to maybe say something meaningful. So that's what I'm going to try to do.
Yeah.
And, of course, the added attraction was you're going to come back to the scene. You're going to be in Las Vegas for Canelo versus Charlo.
Yeah.
You're going to see Shawn Porter and be on his radio show with him, et cetera, et cetera. All of that was irresistible.
Yeah, well, listen, you guys can listen to Jim Lampley. He'll be the co-host on a chat in real time, exclusively on the PPV.com live stream of Canelo and Charlo, of course, which you were just speaking on. And who will you be doing that with?
Lance Pugmire is the former Los Angeles Times boxing columnist and writes for some websites and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah.
I think he's really I think he's the instigator who started this, because I had some comments with Lance about his other business, which is real estate, and I believe that he then turned to the PPV.com and said, don't you want to reach out and see if Lampley wants to come hang out in Vegas? And here I am.
There you go.
Grateful for that.
Jim, have you realized that you're missed? That voice is legendary with the sport. You can't do nothing else. You can't go to basketball. You can't go to football.
Okay, let me say two things about
Yes,
that,
sir.
and I appreciate it. And I live in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I go to basketball and football.
Okay.
There's a lot of meaningful stuff going on there right now. All of that part of my life is there. I miss boxing.
Yeah,
we miss
you.
I miss the culture. I miss the people. I miss sitting here at the table and looking at you and talking about it. I miss all of that. So, I would love to find any logical, meaningful role that would bring me back on a regular basis. I don't think it's going to be blow by blow at this point. One thing that's become clear since HBO left is, these other institutions, the streaming services, the cable networks, et cetera, who are delivering boxing, they've got people doing that job. They like the people who are doing that job. That's cool. I like those people too.
Yeah.
But here comes an opportunity to do something brand new, type about it, do it in words that will go out on the screen. Now I don't have to worry about my haircut. Don't have to worry if my voice cracks or something like that. Just keep going.
What was the last fight? Do you remember the last fight?
Well, the last fight we did was a women's fight. It was Cecilia Brykus against an opponent from Rhode Island, I think it was. And that was a triple header from Carson, the scene of so many of our amazing nights. And of course, we did that we did 3 fights that night. Then we said goodbye, Max and Roy and me, from ringside, and walked away. From the place where Tim Bradley fought Ruslan Provodnikov in a fight of the year that I will never, ever forget.
Yeah.
A place where so many other great fights took place. To be saying goodbye from there with a lot of boxing people around. Gabe Ruelas was standing 5 or 6 feet away from me, and I used to cover both Gabe and his little brother Rafael throughout their early careers.
Yeah.
It was very emotional.
Yeah.
It was very sentimental for
Yeah.
me. And I'm not a person who hides my emotions, so that was part of the show.
I actually do remember that. Since then, has there been a fight that you were watching and it was good and you just kind of turned the volume down a little bit and you kind of added your expertise?
This is a great story. Does the name Phil Ford mean anything to you?
No.
Okay, so Phil Ford was an All-America point guard at the University of North Carolina in the 70s, 2-time National Player of the Year, NBA Rookie of the Year, Tar Heel born and Tar Heel bred like me.
Wow.
And he and I stay in touch now. He lives in Raleigh. I live in Chapel Hill.
Nice.
We spend some time together. I accepted an invitation from Phil and his boxing freak friends in Raleigh to go to his house to watch the pay-per-view of Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. Yeah. So we had a wonderful night. You know, with them basically turning the volume down just a little and saying, "All right, give us some stuff here. Tell us what's going on." And I don't know about you, Shawn, but I got credit for this from Tom Hauser. In the moments the weeks leading up to the fight, everybody's saying that's a pick'em fight. I was saying that's not a pick'em fight.
Ooh.
Okay, that is going to be eventually a one-sided fight, and it wouldn't shock me if Spence needs a rescue in the late rounds. All right, Hauser wrote it, and so you know that I said it because Hauser wrote it.
Listen,
but I knew that Terrence has an inner spirit asset. Okay, his competitive bent, his ability to get mean at the moment when he wants to get mean. He's a killer.
Yeah.
And I had a hunch that would show up. And what an amazing display of counterpunching power, right? Yeah. I mean, to get balanced, to get set up, to time the counterpunches, and to be able to deliver them with maximum power the way he did.
Yep.
That's Sugar Ray Robinson. And that's some of the greatest fighters in the history of the sport.
And a lot like you, it was a studied event out here, as I knew that it would be. I didn't get a chance to work that fight. and Antt knows how bothered, for the sake of words, I am that I don't get to work a fight where number one, I'm qualified to work this fight.
It's in your weight class wheelhouse.
Number one,
they are people that you know. It was a fight about which you could have given us a ton of insight.
Oh, boy. And so what I did was I tweeted during and after every single round, and I got out everything that I would have been able to get out ringside, and there were a couple of big-name people around me, and after every round, I mean, I gave them guys everything that I could give in 60 seconds. You know how it is when you talk boxing in between rounds. No surprise at that fight, but moving forward, when you see the rematch, what do you think about the rematch?
Well, okay. If the rematch takes place, Terrence already has a huge psychological edge. Absolutely. Didn't just beat him.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
He took him out.
Yes.
And it's very difficult to come back from something like that, particularly when a fighter is so visibly and palpably aggressive as Terrence.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't make any secret of the fact that he's there to destroy.
Yeah.
And he's tremendously good at it. So I'd have to favor Terrence in a rematch. And I'm wondering, think with me here, what's left for Canelo? All right? What does Canelo want to get at this point in his career? To me, it's got to be one thing, which was he was pound for pound number one. He's still dollar for dollar number one. He made a matchmaking error.
Yeah.
I don't know who talked him into fighting the bull, whether it was him or somebody else. Nobody in the Western world was clamoring for him to take that fight.
No.
He didn't have to go in and fight somebody who was longer, more natural at the weight, has great technical skills, etc. It was not a good matchup, and the wrong thing happened. So now he's not pound for pound number one. We all know who is.
Yes.
He shines like a beacon in Omaha, Nebraska
He
right
is,
now.
yes.
And if I'm Canelo and I've accomplished everything I've accomplished, I want to, hey, Stephen, how are you? I'd like to get back to pound for pound number one.
Yeah.
And there's only one path to get back to pound for pound number one. So now you've got a 21-pound gap, all right? And that's a great negotiation between two very strong-willed people. Who gets to bite off more of the 21 pounds?
Yeah.
Is that fight at 160, at which point I would favor Canelo, or is it at 154, at which point I might think, oh, Canelo has given up too much? Because I know Terrence can go to 154 and be stronger.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen.
Charlo's going to be stronger Saturday night than he's been before.
Yeah. Canelo's going to stay at 168, and that'll be his reason for not having that fight happen.
No, I mean, that's a perfect position for him if he wants it. I'm a 168-pound fighter.
Yeah.
I even was at 175 for a little while.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go down for him.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if he wants it, he's got to come and get it.
You know how that talk
that's
goes.
a smart Canelo
Yeah.
position,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's self-protective
Yeah.
because, again,
Yeah.
he goes to 54.
Yeah.
Now there's a different favorite.
It's a problem at 54.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, you guys can check out Jim Lampley on ppv.com this weekend on a live stream. He'll be on a chat in real time exclusively with Lance Pugmire, right?
That's right.
Yeah. I'm elated, honored to have you on my show. Yes. And I would love to have an offline conversation with you ASAP.
I'm great to be back in your company, face to face.
Thank you.
You and I need to set up a dinner or lunch sometime.
Come on now.
Where we take it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I like to know the inside.
I'll be over there. I'll be over to the NC whenever you're ready.
Alrighty.
We'll talk soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Legend.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shawn.
You got it. Thank you. Thank you.
You guys are the best.
Thank you, man.
Talking a little bit.
Legendary voice right there. That's crazy.
From one legend to another.
Uh-oh.
See what happens here.
Okay.
Come on in.
Okay.
What's up, sir?
The very first guest of the PorterWay Podcast. Yeah. I never forget that. He started
I'll
this.
never forget that.
Yeah, so yeah. He owns some of this somehow.
That's right.
Hold on, slow down.
Oh,
yeah.
That's stupid.
I at least get like some
dog.
like a founder's. Like
you
something.
can't tell a New Yorker that he owns something.
That was the
he
stupidest
all of a
thing I
sudden
ever said.
owns it. That's the stupidest thing.
Next, I'm going to say I founded it.
Listen, 2013 is, or no, excuse me,
What?
2013. My fault.
Okay, all right, cool.
2020 is when we started this podcast. You were our first guest, so you kind of rushed Jim.
I could only go up from there. Right?
I rushed Jim because you kind of gave us the confidence to continue to do what we're doing.
Yeah,
we're in a really good position now. And you said, like, we really want to thank you for the position that you helped get us into. You don't own anything.
Just to be clear, thank you, but that's it.
Listen,
that's what you're getting.
the stats and things that you spat up there, like, I didn't know a lot of what you said. Is that research that you do yourself or things that you just already know? People bring these stats to you?
Well, part of it, I think it's part of my role. Like,
yeah.
You know, the reality is, you know, if we had a league and a marketing arm and things like that, then, you know, that's what they would do.
Yeah.
And that's one thing UFC is much better at boxing because there's nobody who speaks for boxing and markets. Like, we market events, we don't market boxing. So, you know, there's this narrative out there that's persisted for 15 years, you know, that UFC is going up, boxing is going down. The reality is that narrative has never been accurate, and it's certainly not accurate today. Because, you know, you look at the gates, and gates aren't everything, you know, but I'm happy to talk about the pay-per-views as well.
Yeah.
But the gates, I mean, a $20 million gate, I mean, some of the things, like Tank went to D.C., you know, and he still has the record for the biggest gate there at the D.C. arena. Drake went there, you know, earlier this year, you know, and, you know, just by a small little number, you know, by a couple $100,000 was under Tank. So, you know, the reality,
no problems with Drake.
No. And nothing to say, look, Drake's, you know, got more money than anybody, and he's got a whole tour and all that. But when you look at the health of boxing and what, you know, people, the demand for it, the passion for it, if people are willing to spend big money, people are saying, look, I'll pay the same for a boxing match as I will a Drake concert.
Yeah.
You know, that's a fantastic measure of how excited people are about boxing.
I don't know if this conversation has been had, so I'm going to ask, when the deal was happening with Canelo coming over to PBC and Showtime and all that kind of stuff, was the conversation Jamal and Jamel? Was it first Jamal, then Jamal fell out, and it became Jamel? How did this fight end up becoming Canelo Alvarez versus Jamel Charlo?
You know, I think the selling point was really the entire pool. It wasn't just, you know, Mel or Mal. It was the Charlos. It was Andrade. It was Benavidez. It was, you know, maybe Plant. It was David Morrell. It was the pool, I think, is what attracted him.
Gotcha.
And I think everyone's assumption was, you know, Mal would be there because he was closest.
The weight,
you know, but look, I think we're getting close to seeing Mal back in the near future. You know, he's doing great. He'll be around this weekend. You'll see him. But he was just not at a place. I mean, we all go through things in life, you know, and he just wasn't at a place where he thought he could be his best.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything like, you know, Mel swooping in and taking away from his brother. I mean, everyone agreed this is not the best timing, the best opportunity. There have been points in your career where you're like, you know what, maybe I took a fight where that wasn't the best opportunity. If I had taken it a year earlier or a year later, it just wasn't, you know, and for an opportunity like this. So, you know, Mel was happy to do it. There's a good marketing hook.
Yeah, sure.
And look, depending how quickly Mal gets back, yeah, sure, it could happen. But Andrade gets a big win, you know, Benavidez, you know, any of those guys could jump up.
Is that fight official?
It's getting close.
Yeah.
It's getting close. And I think it, you know, it should be.
This
it
year?
Should be official. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know, I know people probably tell you this. Man, why you waste your time with people on Twitter? I love it. I love it because I'm arguing people. I'm like,
you're asking why I do it, but you love it, right?
Yeah, because I'm arguing people like that's not going to happen. Yes, it is. I seen it on Twitter. And I was like, look what Stephen Espinoza said. And then they still don't believe me. I'm like,
you're right. You're right. You're right.
I
can't.
You know how people argue about the Tank and Keith Thurman this week?
Yeah. I mean, like, this is the thing about. Look, there's a good and bad about social media. You know, the good is that everybody's got a voice.
Everybody.
Any like that's great. You don't have to go to journalism school. You don't have to buy a newspaper. You don't have to buy a radio station. You can put your voice out there, make whatever. But the bad thing about it, everybody's got a voice. You know,
it's a necessary evil.
We're not all the same.
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be some recognition. I might know a little bit more about some things, than the guy who's hanging around in the barbershop who heard it from 3 guys who heard it from their cousin who was in the gym over here and something.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, but the problem with social media is like everybody's the same.
Yeah.
It's like and I get sucked into it because I'm like, hey, well, that's stupid. That ain't happening. But it looks the same. It's like one guy arguing with another guy. We're both Twitter accounts.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like there's no way to really. It's a losing battle, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Will we see Keith Thurman soon?
I think so. I think we'll see him before the end of the year.
All right, he's missed.
Better see him before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. You miss him, don't you?
I think he's a great quote. He's a great interview. He's good for the sport.
Yeah.
I mean, you know as well as anybody. Like he keeps it entertaining. It's never boring.
And I'm gonna ask you something that's maybe impossible, but if anybody could do it, you could do it. Will we get a rematch? Keith Thurman, Porter.
I don't know. You see, when I sat down, I thought to myself, I said, Shawn looks like you. Not that you were overweight, but it looks like you tightened up a little bit.
I want to try to lock this in right now, and I know you got to go. I would love to talk to you at the end of this year. This has been a great year of boxing, and I want to hear I want to recap with you. I got some questions I want to ask, but I really want to see how the rest of the year plays through. I don't want to take away from this weekend because of some other fights that have already happened, but I would love to talk to you and just talk to you about the sport of boxing. Like you said, I think it's liver than ever.
Yep, absolutely.
And definitely in the last couple of years, liver than ever right now. But once upon a time, 10, 15 years ago, when people, boxing's dying, MMA is taking over. I mean, it's like completely the opposite.
No, it is. And the reality is,
and large in part because of you.
Well, and PBC and and a bunch of other people. But the reality is, I think the other thing, and this sometimes gets taken the wrong way.
Yeah.
I think we have to recognize. Look, 90% of what the discussion is in the sport of boxing is negative, right? I mean, it is.
Yeah.
I think we have to recognize the positive and the negative.
Yeah.
Because there are too many people in boxing who are doing things that are bad for boxing. If you've got a big TV deal, and you've got a big, let's call it heavyweight fight, don't open up with 2 6-rounders. Come on, you're a sports net. Like, I'm not trying to call anybody out.
Yeah.
But try.
Yeah.
Like, make an effort. Like, you're coming out of a football game. Give something other than a one-sided 6-rounder.
That's not an event.
You're not going to build boxing fans. Somebody who, if you go from a football game into like an even 50-50 matchup, but a 6-rounder, a journeyman against a young prospect, you're just asking people to turn. Like, boxing could be so much bigger if we all put our all into it.
Come on now, I like the way you're talking.
Yeah.
Listen, we'll talk at the end of the year, right?
Absolutely.
Good luck Saturday night.
All right.
Thank you.
In 10 years, you'll be on the last episode. And we're going to get Jasmine on. Jasmine!
What's up, darling? Good.
You remember her?
Yeah. All right, one more guest, y'all, then we getting up out of here. We got to get over to the media workout.
Yeah, I told her I'd get her on.
IndyCar media workout. You want to do it over there?
No, we can do it here.
All right, do it here.
Let's go ahead. She already here. She working.
I'm here.
What's up?
You remember her?
Yeah. Come on, man. Yeah.
Nice to finally meet you.
You as well.
Interesting enough.
What, you got something for her?
No, I got shit for her. This book bag right here held the paper that you wrote all of your information on. And I just took it out of the bag this morning.
You know what? I'm not even going to judge you.
All right.
I understand.
No problem.
Talk to us. I know when I met you, you in Atlanta, and you trying to grow the sport.
She's trying to build something out there. She's
in
hustling.
Atlanta. Hustling.
I am.
Where does this come from?
You know what? I've always
Come
been
closer.
interested. I've always been interested in boxing, but haven't really been able to break into the sport. As you guys know, it's like a tight community, and trying to get in, you got to really find your niche.
Full of men.
Full of men. But you know what? I got the shoulders to match. So I don't know if y'all saw that. But, yeah, it's been a hustle. I feel like I've tried to go at different angles. Originally trying to go at it at management. My nephew boxes. And we just kind of agreed that, you know what, let me get a little bit more seasoned.
He said, "You don't know what you doing."
Precisely, and so many other words, and I
Right.
didn't. And still, it's so much to that I still don't know.
No, Ma, she tripping.
What got you into the sport?
Really just watching him fight, going
Okay.
to his
Well,
tournaments.
I thought she was talking about me.
Everything not about you. Talking about our nephew. What's your nephew? Is nephew?
Demler Zamora the third.
Okay.
So yeah, just watching him going to the tournaments, just watching the big fights. Like I always was around boxing, but as a kid, it was like the basement parties, and we weren't invited. So now that I'm older, just watching the fights, getting into it, I started breaking down fights, and that just became like so natural.
That's when
Yeah.
when we were talking, and that's what kind of like rung in my head. You said you were breaking down fights and you want to start like commentating and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, like a lot of people in general don't want to commentate boxing and have that kind of ambition and drive. So, like, where did that come from? Like the thought process of, let me start breaking these down and figuring out what's going on.
Honestly, it was kind of just a hunch. I felt like I said, I was trying to figure out what my niche was, and I just started watching fights and then started talking about fights, and people were like, oh, wow, you know a lot. But to the casual fan, you could be an expert, just knowing a little bit. So then I started breaking down fights, and they were like, I'm glad that you did this because I can understand it with how you're breaking it down, and then like showing them. So it's just become one of those things where it just came natural, and I'm just rolling with it.
Very good.
And let's talk about what you got going on in Atlanta. I know what you got, the Boxing Social?
The Atlanta Boxing Social Club.
Okay.
So basically that's a marketing strategy to build the fan base outside of just fight week. You have like the lineup events like what we have this week, but the casual fan really don't know what's going on. So just trying to break down fighting, break down the boxers, make them more relatable, trying to actually get them in the same room with the fans where they can actually engage and they can kind of build a rapport with them. I feel like that's like something that's missing in boxing. Like you have the bigger fighters, but what about the guys that are like, right in the middle? Haven't really taken off. They got a lot of potential. But if they had that fan base, and I feel like the city of Atlanta, like we love supporting. Like, culture is like so big there. And if you can just get a couple of fighters to really like buy into this market and just kind of like put themselves in it for like 6 months, I'm telling you, like they could sell out arenas easy.
And Atlanta's an untapped market. We've seen what happened when Tank went down there. He did numbers.
Yes, I was just talking about that with Mike. The city showed out.
Yeah.
I remember that was when I first got to Atlanta in 2019, I think it was, or 2020, right before the pandemic.
Oh, dang.
I mean, people was coming out with furs and stilettos. Like, it was a whole situation. So, yeah.
And what did you do? I thought you was going to be here all week, so you just in and out, huh?
I'm in and out.
Okay.
I got a weekend job, so
Okay.
I can't afford to be here on the
respect
weekend.
it. Yeah.
So, I was just at home, and I was like, dang. It'd be nice if I just came here for Wednesday.
Yeah.
I've been watching you guys' show and your media blitz, and I'm like, it's a lot of people there for the actual. Yes, shout out to y'all. I'm like, it's a lot of people in the room. If I could just get in the room. A close guy of mine that I was introduced to, I asked him what was the wildest chance of him being able to get me a media media pass. He was like, if I get it, you coming? I was like, I booked the flight. So,
Very good.
Yeah, I respect your grind. That's why I told you I'd get you on. Obviously, if you need something, I'm always here. Help out.
it.
Just
not sure.
yeah. Everybody knows. Hit me, not Shawn. But
tell us a little bit more about the club. How does the club work? Is it a virtual thing? Tell us more about the club.
So right now it's more in-person based.
Okay.
I'm actually trying to create events that are on grounds that involves people. So far I've done the fight night, watch parties, and then before the last overtime fight, I did a industry night, if you will, where we were at Cam Newton's cigar spot.
Okay.
Really nice, good crowd, people that came out. I mean, there were cutmen, trainers, commissioners. You had Chris Algieri. Corey. So we had a good crowd. So basically just trying to build this infrastructure of a network in Atlanta. So when people finally come to Atlanta for boxing, we really build ourselves, to have this space, this platform. It's like, well, we kind of already have the infrastructure for everybody to just tap into.
And since I don't have your paper with me, why don't you tell everybody how they can follow you and keep up with you? They visit in Atlanta. They're already in Atlanta. Tell everybody how to get down with Jasmine.
So you can follow me on Instagram at, is this the camera?
Yeah, look at her. Ooh, give me some of that. I seen her look at her. She was like,
I'm like, oh, I'm looking
I
at y'all.
could see your mind was like, I'm supposed to. Yeah, I see. Oh, that was clean. I
Okay.
see.
You can follow me on Instagram at Agent J Knows. Before I got into boxing, I was a FIBA certified agent, and I just haven't changed my handle. So it's Agent J Knows, Jasmine L Knows. You can also follow Atlanta Boxing Social Club on Instagram at ATLBSC.
Can you spell nose real quick?
KNOWLES.
Did you know it was an LES on it? Did you know it was an LES
It
on it?
spelled like Beyonce, right?
It is.
She related to Beyonce.
I didn't know she was related to Beyonce.
Yeah, I might need to do the origin test, you know.
Hey,
it
don't
matters.
do that. The 23andMe don't do that. I've been ducking that for years.
Happy to catch up with you.
Yeah,
Keep grinding. Yeah. Good luck and no, for real. Like you need anything from me, from us, A.K.A. from him, please reach out to us and we'll do the best we can for you.
I appreciate that. If you tap into the women's suits, you know, let me know. I'll be a model for you.
We are doing a shoot tomorrow, and we have 2 women who we've outfitted.
Okay, so
it's ready for you when you
so
ready
it's in the
for
market.
it. You know that price. You know we gon' flex it for you, but you know.
Oh yeah, worked a couple more
You got
Saturday
to,
nights.
yeah. Come on now.
Hey, Jasmine. Matter of fact, that guy might have a job for you.
Oh.
Yeah, he had a TV show. What happened to your boxing TV show? You want to bring it back? Jasmine's by you.
I'm your girl.
Yeah, he's in Tampa Bay.
She might actually be your girl, like on some real stuff. She might
knows
actually
her
be your
boxing.
Girl.
And I'm still learning.
Hey,
that's offline.
Yeah.
Listen.
This is between me and Jasmine. Everybody else don't hit us up about this.
Media workout starts in 30 minutes.
Okay.
We're gonna try to get over there as soon as we can. We'll see y'all back here. Watch my social media. Watch the podcast social media. We'll let you know when we going live. All the good stuff. We'll see you back there in just a little bit. This is the PorterWay.
Stay blessed.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Microsoft Theater here in downtown Los Angeles, brought to you by Shawn Porter Promotions.